Continuing with 14.2, completing the square, we're going to get something a little bit new here with an odd number for our b value. And then on this one over here, we're going to see something new with an imaginary number involved. So copy down the first term, copy down the b term, then leave a space for completing the square, and subtract 7 to get your c term on the right side. Okay, so remember, to complete the square, we're going to take half of 9, so we're going to have 9 over 2. That's half of 9, and we're going to square it. So what we get here is 81 over 4. And you can see that's a little bit ugly. Not my favorite type to complete the square on. I probably most likely use the quadratic formula, but you'll see it's not too bad to work out here. So what I get on the right side when I factor it, and if you do a couple of these, you start to realize that this term right here ends up being the half of b value. Okay? And then on this right side here, we get 53 over 4. Okay. So writing this as a squared binomial, and then 53 over 4. At this point, we can use our square root process. So I'll square root this side, square root this side. Remember my plus minus. The left side, I get x plus 9/2. Right side, I get the square plus or minus the square root of 53 over, and I can do the square root of 4, so I get 2. Okay. And now I can subtract 9/2. And what I end up with here is x is equal to -9 plus or minus the square root of 53 over 2. Because I have common denominators here, I can write that over the single denominator 2. Now, do remember that if it asks you to write out both the answers, one of the answers would be -9 plus the square root of 53 over 2. And the other answer would be -9 minus the square root of 53 over 2. And if they asked you for the decimal approximation, you could just compute it on your calculator. Okay. So taking a look at this one, we have copy down the a term, the b term, leave a space, move the c term over by subtracting 27. Going to take half of 10, and that's half of -10, but you're going to see that's not going to really matter because we squared. Half of -10 is -5, but -5 squared is 25. Okay, so add 25 over here. A little bit careful on this side because we have to get a positive 25, but a -10 in the middle, so these both need to be negative here. And then I have equals -2. Now at this point, I've done enough of these, I know an imaginary number is going to be involved because of this negative sign here. But I have squared equals -2. Now I'll do the square root of both sides. Square root, plus or minus. So we'll get our two solutions. And then I have y minus 5 equals plus or minus radical 2i. Remember, I told that imaginary is outside of the radical sign. You can't put it in front also. And then I'm going to add 5 to both sides. I get two solutions. And using the plus or minus sign, I can right? Y is equal to 5 plus or minus radical 2I. So two non-real solutions. Thanks.